Season 2 of Battlefield 2042 is finally here. We can finally talk about it. And I'm obviously going to talk about the things that I found out in videos, because EA don't want to invite smaller content creators out to actually, learn about the game or even help them get a foot in the door, basically. EA's attitude is, screw you guys, we only care about the big guys. But other than that, I'm going to talk about some of the things that I found out from Season 2's initial trailer and break down some of the stuff. Okay, so let's get straight into it. Okay, so Season 2, as we all know, is called Master of Arms. And we're actually taking the action all the way to the Panama Canal with the new standout map, an exciting new fight across a drained lake with a shipwrecked tanker that also serves as an illicit black market hub. Okay, so for anyone who doesn't know what black market pretty much means, it's pretty much just an underground weapons dealer situation, so it is. So again, no surprise that this is the sort of theme they're going for Season 2. So they are. Now, based on the videos that I actually watched last night, again, didn't give about it, thanks EA. Based on the videos that I saw last night about people pretty much talking about this who have actually got hands-on experience, the map itself doesn't change dependent on the size, okay? So if you're playing 128 players versus the 64 player Conquest, it doesn't change, it's all the same size of map. And I think that's going to be really, really interesting for the 128 player Conquest, and here's why. As we all know about Battlefield 2042, whenever you're playing the 64 player Conquest, it generally runs a lot smoother and better for people. There's not a lot of hit detection issues as opposed to maybe the 128 player, which if you go on the Reddits, if you go on all the forums that people are talking, pretty much all the issues come from the 128 player Conquest mode. Now, if you have a much smaller map that's catered for the 64 players, which it seems based off what I've heard this map is going for, I think the amount of issues you're going to face with the 128 players could be very, very big, so they could. So like whenever I say, hit detection issues or spawn issues, for instance, I think, and what I mean by spawn issues, sorry about that, just have to interrupt myself. What I mean by spawn issues is that, on the bigger maps, generally what happens is you can spawn and almost be dead instantly because you're spawned into a situation where it hasn't actually put you where you want to be. For instance, on exposure, if you wanted to spawn at sea, a lot of time you actually ended up closer to the other flags, so you did. And if this map has the same sort of issues, what can end up happening is that more and more players will just be spawned into instant death. So I think that could be a bit of a hiccup when it comes to this map size. But nevertheless, we're going to have to wait and see what the actual map plays like whenever this happens. One of the positives about it being a smaller base map for 120 players is that it gets you straight to the action really quick. And I think that's something that, for the most part, a lot of people, when it came to the Battlefield game, like 2042, sorry, for instance, not just games, because, let's be honest, the older games are better, but 2042 as its own game, a lot of people were saying it just felt like it took too long to get in the gunfight. And to be totally honest, that's 100% true. So as I've, had situations where I've been running just like a headless chicken, just looking to find someone, and I can't, and then what happens is I get taken out from maybe 40 yards with a sniper for someone who's just camping across the map. That's a real issue with this game. And so the fact is, this map is actually a smaller base map with 120 players and 64. I think it's actually going to be really good for that, because it means, like I say, you're not running about the map, you're straight into the firefight. And overall, I think it'll actually get a really fast-paced game flow. So, well, what that means for the KD, I have no idea, but I'm expecting a pretty bad KD when it comes to this map. So especially if the bigger player base can actually be on a small map, I think it'll just be chaotic as all hell. I just hope it holds up to what it's promising to do with extreme firefights, really close quarters action, because close quarters action is something that a lot of people have probably missed in this Battlefield game. If we look at some of the older games, Operation Metro, Locker, etc. just come to mind as, two examples. Those were close, well, they weren't really close quarters, but they were, infantry sort of game modes, so they were, no vehicles, but they were close quarters to a degree that they weren't, massively scaled. You wanted to get in the firefight, you go straight away to it, you know where to be. And I think that's sort of what this map is trying to go for, that same sort of feel. So I'm really looking forward to actually playing. Obviously, it's not, released yet. I do believe it releases on the 30th, so it is. So that's pretty much roughly a week from now, so it is. So yeah, I'm looking really forward to it. I think it'll be a really good map. But other than that, we've touched on the map issues, we've touched on a couple of the problems I think I could encounter. What we'll actually do now is we'll actually look at the weapons and, the operators that are bringing into the game. I hate operators. I just have to say, I hate the operator system, but they're not going to ditch it, so let's talk about it. We'll get to the weapons in just a second, but I'll just going through this article, and one of the things that I want to actually point out that I forgot to mention there was the fact that it actually talks about the tanker itself. Now what this says, and I'm reading it off a page, this is all like non-scripted, so don't blame me if I get a bit stuttered here, because I'm not the strongest reader, so I'm not. Right, here we go. As you expect, the tanker itself favours close quarters combat with tight corridors, a lot of cover, and short distance between objectives. May want to pack a shotgun. Okay, so like it says there, you may want to just be running with the shotgun this, and to be honest, I'm not surprised about that. One thing that I'm really happy about, and this is a standout thing for me, is that the fact that they say there's a lot of cover, so there is. Now, what I mean by that is if we look at the base maps of 2042, they were terrible when it came to cover. You know, anyone could shoot from anywhere and you'd be dead instantly because, like I say, there's just no cover to support you in this situation. I'm really excited to see that there's actually a lot of cover, so there is, and you know, I don't think a lot of people will complain about this map because they're getting everything they want with it. They're getting close quarter combat. If they don't like the close quarters of it, they can generally have a firefight outside, you know, which is obviously a much bigger scale, so it is. My only issue with this map is I think it's going to become, you remember how with exposure, C pretty much became like a hotspot for people, everyone wanted to C and just started flooding it. I think the tanker is going to be a very same situation to C from exposure, so I think a lot of people are just going to flood to that area and just try and control the match from that place. So if the spawns are really, you know, an issue like they were in exposure for a lot of the time and it's close quarters, again, like I say, I think you're going to spawn into a lot of instant deaths. But you know what, we'll just have to wait and see. But for the most part, I actually think that's a really, really nice add-on. The fact they're putting loads of cover in it, the tanker's close quarters, and yeah, so I'm actually looking forward to that bit. But you know what, let's touch into the other details. Okay, so the weapons. Now again, I'm reading this off the page that I have open on the internet, so apologies again if I sound a bit stuttered. Not the strongest reader, but anyway, like I say. Okay, so when it comes to weapons, they'll be introducing the AM40, which offers a mid-range alternative that sits somewhere between an assault rifle and a submachine gun. While the Avances, again, sorry about that, strong word, don't know what it means, is a lightweight machine gun that maximizes mobility as well as attachments. The PF51, again bad reader, sits between an SMG and a pistol, albeit with a huge magazine. Okay, so the AM40, basically what it said, I'm expecting this sort of to be this like season's equivalent of, you know, I can't get the name of it in my head, but you'll know what I'm talking about. Exposure released it, so it was like that. Their gun that ranged from, you know, a single burst weapon till, you know, I can't get the name of it in my head. I'm going to look like a total idiot within this video, but I'll throw a photo up and you'll know what it is, okay? But this, I think it's going to be sort of the equivalent of that weapon, so it is. And I think that they're trying to introduce weapons that, you know, you can alternate between their fire modes. So for instance, they don't want to just introduce like a sniper, so they want to introduce, say, like, you know, a sniper that can become an assault rifle, so to do, because again, it sort of suits both player bases. If you introduce a sniper, all you're doing is encouraging a much more slower, you know, playing style. So you are someone who sits back and, you know, just wants to take people out. And again, there's nothing wrong with that. In fact, your playing style, by all accounts, you know, live by it, you know. But for someone like me who prefers, you know, much more faster paced weaponry, the ability to have a weapon that's on par in terms of bullet strength and so forth with a sniper, but it's actually an assault rifle, I think it suits my playing style really well. So I think that the fact that DICE and EA are going sort of in this direction of, you know, bringing in weapons that can sort of alternate, I think is a really good touch to it is, and it sort of separates it from being basic weaponry, if that makes sense. So I'm actually probably going to be using it a lot, so I'm not going to lie, because it suits, again, my sort of playing style. So yeah, like I said, I'm looking forward to that, and I hope, you know, it actually lives up to what it's sort of promising. Okay, so as for the PF51, it sits between an SMG and a pistol. Obviously, I just said that, but I don't think I'll be using this a lot. Okay, now don't get me wrong, I like using the whole SMG, so I do, especially in close quarters. They're probably going to be very, very effective. Again, maybe not as effective as, let's say, a shotgun or something like that, but I think, you know, in that sort of close quarters environment, this could be really good. My only concern is I'm awful at pistols. Like, I'm really bad at pistols, so I don't think I'll be using this in that form a lot. But you know what, for the most part, we'll probably end up getting a good laugh out of it. So I'll probably do a couple of videos, you know, of me actually using it in gameplays and so forth going forward. But yeah, no, so that's pretty much what it says for that. It's sort of switched between pistol and SMG. Again, not much to it there, it's pretty straightforward, so it is. They're also introducing the new concussion grenade, which gives players the chance to daze and confuse their enemies. Okay, so I sort of put this on par with maybe like a, you know, a stun grenade from like the older Call of Duties, or I don't even think, was there stun grenades in older Battlefield games? Anyway, point is, I sort of put this on sort of that, you know, basis. I don't think it's really going to, you know, impact the game all that much. For instance, I'm not going to change whatever like grenade I use, because I use the I actually did start using the spot grenade. I just, if you don't, like, you know, if you can't get a lot of points, for instance, in Conquest or something like that, and you're playing the bigger scale, like 120 players, I would always advise you to use the spot grenade. I can't actually get the proper name into my head, but you know what I'm talking about. What happens is you throw it picks out all the enemies, you get points, assists basically for every kill, so it can actually help you rank up higher on the leaderboard, so it can get you closer to the next rank. I actually chose to start using that instead of the basic grenade, which blows people up. Yeah, you'll get maybe 1 or 2 kills with the, you know, grenade, but the amount of like points you'll get based off spotting the enemy is just far better, so it is, and it's more beneficial to you overall. But no, go back to this concussion grenade. Like I say, I think it's going to be very similar to like a stun grenade. I'm not going to lie, I think it's just basic stun grenade sort of stuff, so it is. And yeah, can't really touch too much on it because I haven't actually seen any details or footage of it. But no, for the most part, you know, I don't really see myself using it. Maybe someone who's a much more tactical player, you know, much more slower type player will probably want to use something like that because maybe they'll feel it gives them an edge. Or it could probably be really good in the sense if you need to reload really quick, just fire it out. You know, enemy stage, you've reloaded, pop up, bang, heads off. I don't know, maybe you could do it, something like that. But me, for the most part, I don't really see myself using it a lot. So again, I'm not really going to touch too much onto it because I sort of want to get into the specialists now, so do. Okay, so as for the specialist, Charlie Crawford is your specialist in Season 2, an ex-arms dealer with a mounted Vulcan statutory minigun, which can be used by either specialist and the ability to revive teammates and refill your grenade ammo. Okay, so this sort of for me ranges on the theme of maybe a bit OP, so it is. Now hear me out. If, let's say, for instance, you don't choose to play this map, you choose to maybe play the older matches and exposure comes up. Well, like I said, if you go back to the C flag, what happens is that everyone tries coming to, you know, they either come through the side of C or to come through like the other entrance, so to do for C. And what happens is if you're sitting with someone who has a minigun and you're sitting at a turret, because I've seen the trailer with this guy, it looks like he can actually hold it and just aim. This is going to be on the realms of way OP if you ask me. I think this could be a real like hindrance, and the only way maybe to have somewhat of an advantage is to use a lethal weapon. So you're talking maybe an RPG or a grenade or, you know, even a tank or any sort of vehicle weaponry to take him out. But if this guy has loads of cover, I think this could really be on the realms of like game breaking. Not game breaking in a sense that it'll crash the console or it'll do anything like that. But when I say game breaking, what I mean is like it'll just be too OP. So well, like no one will really stand a chance. And if you get maybe like a squad of people, let's say you have like 3 or 4 people on your team, what you can do is if you pick out a place. Again, I haven't played the map, I haven't got first hand, so maybe the map will be, you know, positioned differently and maybe it won't work like this. But I'm basing it off other maps. If you have like 4 people using the same specialist and you've all set up miniguns, let's be brutally honest, I mean, you're not really winning that fight, and this guy, you know, really has an OP advantage, if you ask me. Again, it's my own opinion, maybe I'll be completely wrong, but yeah, I do honestly think it's on the realms of a bit OP, so it is. Maybe they'll nerf it, you know, if enough people talk about it, maybe it'll be one of those things that gets changed. But like I say, anything that you've pretty much heard me ramble on about here is going to, you know, probably change quite a bit, you know, throughout the actual realm of Season 2, because, you know, Season 1 had a couple issues that got fixed, and, you know, the game itself has a couple issues that are still actually being fixed. But for the most part, I actually think it's, you know, it all looks promising, I'll say. Other than the, you know, specialist's ability, I just think that this season looks promising, and hopefully the map actually lives up to the expectations. But yeah, so I've been Recursive, and you, thanks for, you know, sticking around to the video if you stayed this long. It's greatly appreciated. If you're new to the channel, please, you know, consider subscribing. It helps out immensely. I'm probably going to play a lot of Season 2. I'm probably going to get some live commentaries up, you know, gameplays of, you know, throw a bit of, you know, funny moments in together and stuff. I don't know, I'll be doing a lot of Season 2. I really stuttered badly there, didn't I? Again, I'm not scripting any of this. I never script my videos because I think it feels more organic if you speak from the heart. Cringe, but still. Anyway, again, thanks guys for checking out the video. It means a lot. This was somewhat of a small breakdown of, you know, the details of Season 2. And yeah, thanks for checking the video, guys. Peace. Have a nice day.